At 2:30 a.m. on a Thursday morning, we got up to embark on our 2019 Maui vacation. After a long travel day, we finally arrived at the beautiful island of Maui. As soon as we got to Maui, it didn't take long for us to realize that the landscapes, the mountains, the views, they were so tremendously beautiful. The beaches, like many things we had never seen before. We saw lots of sights that were breathtaking. It seemed as if I walked around half the time with my jaw hanging open. And don't forget about the amazing waterfalls. The island has so many waterfalls, you almost can't remember how many you've seen. Some had specific names, some I have no idea the names of. But we took in a lot of beautiful sights of some really cool waterfalls. Oh, and don't forget the sunrises and the sunsets. Now, we were on the west side, so the sunsets were absolutely gorgeous every day. The sunrises were a small bit later as they came around our condo complex. Kind of like this one right here, which was a sunrise. And then this gorgeous sunset to end out most of your days on a beach that was a block from us. Day one, we got up in the nice condo that we were renting to do something we had never done before. We were off to go on a snorkeling cruise to a place called the Molokini Crater. We rode this boat on Maui Magic. They fed us a nice breakfast as we headed out to the Molokini Crater, a small spot about 3 miles offshore where the snorkeling was just absolutely gorgeous. Never in my life have I seen water so clear. The visibility was up to 180 feet. We saw lots of tropical fish and got to have a neat encounter with a sea turtle. We ended the day on the beach right next to our condo with a nice sunset. Morning 2, we got up to travel what's called the Road to Hana. This was an all-day event on a coastal road that goes around the southeast. We started here thanks to a recommendation where a bunch of sea turtles come up on shore. The Road to Hana is also a place where you get out and stop to see scenes all along the way. The landscapes are beautiful. You're driving along the coast. You have a mountain to your right. You have the ocean to your left. Lots of places there's pull-offs so you can stop and get pictures like this, where you can see literally the bottom of the sea. This hike, we actually went boulder hopping up to see that waterfall, that particular waterfall. About halfway in, you've got to stop at Auntie Sandy's Banana Bread for what is possibly the best banana bread, served warm and fresh, that you will ever taste. We saw some lava tubes that are created out of the volcano, traveled a road called the Nihiku Road, which is supposed to be the place where all plants die and go to heaven. These trees are called banyan trees. They're actually one tree that grow and reroot themselves, covering a large area. The highlight of our Road to Hana day was a trail called the Pipiway Trail. About halfway into this 2-mile hike one way, you hit what's called the bamboo forest after crossing this bridge. We were literally in the shade in bamboo that was towering 15 to 30 feet above us. It was something spectacular that we love to see. You're rewarded at the end of the trail with a 400-foot waterfall called the Waimoko Falls. Truly beautiful spot to see. And then we took in the bottom of this trail is a spot where the river hits the ocean called the Ohio Gulch, also known as the 7 Sacred Pools. We finished the day by finishing this loop on the backside of Hana, a road which is literally undescribable, only somewhat larger than a golf cart road. Day 3 began having early morning breakfast on our lanai outside of the condo complex, as we did almost every morning. We decided again to do something we had never done. Heading up to Kanapali Beach, we went parasailing. And this was a cool experience that we had never done. Not quite what we expected, but it was decent. Then we drove the northwest coastline, kind of like a Road to Hana, but on the opposite side of the island. Again, a coastal road with epic views. Nearly every corner you turned, you're either stunned by a view of the mountains or a view of the ocean. We went to 2 popular spots, the first one called the Olivine Pools. This is us going down the trail to the pools. These pools are formed by the ocean just smashing, ocean surf smashing into the rocks, spraying water into cavities that are left in lava rocks that were formed out of the volcano, creating little pools, some small, some large, some medium. You could sit and relax in them if you wanted to. If you're a little more daring, you could do as this gentleman and dive headfirst into some of the deeper ones. We went from there to a place called the Nakoli Blowhole, if I'm saying that correctly, which is a hole that's formed from the volcano lava, that where the surf comes in and shoots water sometimes up to 100 feet out of this hole. We posed for a few shots there as well. Just to the right of this spot is a natural formed heart in the rocks, which is a great spot to take your 25th anniversary spouse and get some great photos from some people who were kind enough to take them for us and have a little kissing. Then we went over for a quick visit to the Kapalaua Plantation Golf Course, specifically so we could pick up some souvenirs for our son. This is a famous golf course on the northern shore where the pros play. We ended the day at a restaurant called Leilani's on the beach, which is literally an outdoor restaurant, as most stuff is outdoors. Stopping on the way home that day, we went to a park in a place called Lahaina, where they have the largest banyan tree in all of Maui. The one tree forms the entire park, ending with a beautiful sunset once more. We got up very early on day 4 so that we could board a plane to fly to Oahu, where we planned on doing 2 things. One was to hike the famous Diamond Head Crater Trail, which is a nice hike that oversees the ocean and all of Honolulu. This was a short hike, but great views at the top, with a beautiful look at the city and overlooking the ocean. We went from there and headed back across Honolulu to go to historic Pearl Harbor, where we aborted the U.S. Missouri to begin. The highlight of our Pearl Harbor day was a 35-minute tour aboard the U.S. Missouri with a great tour guide that told some incredible stories from World War II that were really touching. We went to an aviation museum. We then toured a submarine that sat in the harbor. We were able to walk both on the board and inside the ship, which was pretty cramped considering how many people would live there. At the end of our Pearl Harbor day, we were able to visit the U.S.-Arizona Memorial, which was quite a sobering spot where the Arizona had been struck and more than 1,000 people were killed at the same time. On day 5, we had a little bit of free time, so we decided to rent our own snorkeling equipment and go out for another go. A face-to-face encounter with the sea turtle was the epic highlight of the morning. Later that day, we decided to finally drive up Haleakala Mountain, which is the large 10,000-foot mountain on the island. There was some epic views going up, as you can imagine, and we were in and out of the clouds all the way up. Of course, we saw bikers that rode up the hill and down the hill. That was expected. What we did not expect to see was 2 men coming down the mountain on skateboards. We had a little diversion at this point called the Liliwai Overlook at about 9,000 feet. After taking a short hike out this overlook, we turned the corner and I almost collapsed from the view that I saw. It was so beautiful from the top. You could see so far, and the mountains were absolutely gorgeous. We were glad we got up there when we did because we could still see before the clouds came in. When we actually made it to the top of the mountain, we were literally stuck in the clouds. With ponchos on, we were getting wet from the mist. You couldn't see anything, and the landscape up there pretty much looks like a Land Rover working its way around on Mars. As we got back to the condo, we were reminded once again to don't worry, be Maui. A beautiful silhouetted sunset on the condo balcony was an interesting way to end the day. On our final day, we got up early in the morning again to head to northwest Maui and hike the famous Wahi Ridge Trail. This trail, a little over 2 miles, goes straight up a mountain and once more afforded us views that were just absolutely spectacular. The landscaping done by God here is Blue Ribbon award winning. Once we got near the top, the views of the mountains, and if you can see 2 distant waterfalls there, were absolutely gorgeous. I loved how the mountains were carved and cut from the volcano. We were happy to see this 2-mile marker, which told us we were near the end. When we got to the top, we were exhausted and sweating profusely. But we did it early in the morning because the clouds come rolling in swiftly. This was about already only 9 a.m. We were rejoicing here that we made it. We took a little time on this overlooking deck to check out the views for a while. From the Ridge Trail, we drove down to what's called the Iao Valley, where they have a famous landmark called the Iao Needle at a state park. This needle is literally a rock that juts out like a pinpointed mountain. But in the valley, there was also great views of some other mountains. Now, instead of being from the top side, we were viewing them from the bottom side. From the Iao Needle, we headed to the Maui Tropical Plantation, where we took a tram ride and a 30-minute tour of a lot of the fruits that they grow on this plantation. It was an interesting tour. We got to see lots of things like pineapple bushes, a little demonstration on how to husk and cut a coconut. We saw coffee bushes, and also mango trees. Of course, this was all exhausting and made us a little tired. We went into the store that they had at the plantation where I was able to buy my wife a wonderful vacation dress. Afterwards, we headed to the very south end of Maui, just below where we were staying, to a beach famously known as Makina Beach, or also Big Beach, where we walked up and down and saw the beautiful waves for a while. A little further down this road south, they literally have lava fields that have been created. We ended this fabulous day with a gorgeous sunset, taking some nice pictures of ourselves on the beach. Getting up the last day, we have never been so sad to leave a vacation in our life. We had about an hour that we could waste before we got to the airport to fly home. So we took one last stroll on the beach, watching some surfers and just taking in the sights and enjoying the beauty that was all around us. After a long fly home, our wonderful Maui vacation came to an end. What a way to celebrate our beautiful 25th anniversary.